Over the last few years, I've heard the same thing from friends, coworkers, and a ton of you guys watching. I want to get into cars, but I could never do what you're doing. And I'm just like, me? Really? It honestly does throw me off every time I hear that, because I still think of myself as the kid who once had to Google how to check his oil. Yeah, now I've done an engine swap and I've wrestled with wiring and I've taken apart and put back together a lot of things in this car, maybe even most of it at this point. But that didn't all come overnight, and I definitely didn't start with the confidence to do it all. The truth is, when I first started, all of that sounded super intimidating to me too, impossible even. And I've still got a ton of things left to do that I've never done. Those are still a little scary, but where someone else might say, yeah, that's for a mechanic to figure out. Not me. I didn't let that fear stop me. I wanted to learn. I didn't want to be like everyone else, always paying other people to fix things I know I could figure out myself. And I'm not talking about just cars. Working on cars gave me the confidence to take on just about anything. Every time you pick up a wrench, you pick up a new skill. Every project teaches you something about the machine and about yourself. Things just start clicking. New pathways in your brain start to open. It's pretty cool, actually. So, when someone asks me, well, how did you learn all that stuff? Well, that's where the real story begins. I am what I like to call a first-generation car guy. Well, what the heck does that even mean? It means I didn't grow up around this stuff. I didn't have a dad. My dad wasn't tearing things apart in the garage. I didn't have friends that were building cars in the driveways after school, at least not right away. I didn't know a damn thing about cars when I first started. My interest in working in things didn't come from anyone else. It kind of just showed up. In fact, when I brought home my first project car, the one that I had worked so hard as a high school kid to get, my family was disappointed in me. I came home and I parked it next to my clean, reliable daily, and they just didn't get it. Why would you buy something that needs work? Why? And honestly, I didn't have a good answer for them other than I just wanted to. It was like one day in middle school, something clicked. I just like cars. Kind of like how some people wake up one day and say, I think I like guys. I woke up one day and I said, I think I like Subarus. Some people will say that's the same thing. But anyways, yeah, I just started naming off every car that would drive by and annoying my parents. My mom brought that up the other day. It was pretty funny. And when I finally got my hands on a car to mess with, I learned by the only way I knew how, diving in, getting my hands dirty, and messing up a lot. Sometimes I'd get lucky and I'd have a friend helping me that did a little more research than me, but for the most part, it was just me, the internet, and trial and error. The good news is if you're just getting started, it doesn't have to be that hard for you. I've got some tips coming up later that'll help out with learning all this stuff. One of the biggest reasons that I'm super glad I got into cars is for all of the relationships. Working on cars with friends, learning, laughing, failing, figuring it out together. That's what it's all about. Some of the strongest and longest lasting friendships in my life are through cars. Once you get your first project car and you start hitting meets, taking along to events, going to shows, or just finding a group to cruise with, those people, they'll become some of your best friends. Fast and Furious actually got that part right. Some of those people will stand next to you on your wedding day. And if you're like me and you didn't grow up surrounded by gearheads and grease monkeys, then those people you meet in the car world, they're going to be some of the first people who actually get you, who actually understand you, because they are you. Sorry, Mom. They didn't care that my car was rusty and missing half the paint. They weren't disappointed in me for selling a clean, reliable car just to pick up some beat-up project. They saw what I saw. They saw the vision because they had one too. And if you're not always able to work on cars with friends, hey, I get that. I'm not either. That's why this channel exists, so that we can work on things together, even if you're thousands of miles away. I got my first car in high school. It was a 2000 Mercury Cougar. It was a decent price for the mileage. It was clean. It didn't need anything. It was automatic, but it was nice. That didn't stop me from wanting to modify it. I threw an exhaust on it. Well, a muffler from AutoZone, along with the only kit I could find on the entire internet, which was just an assortment of bent pipes and clamps. I threw that on, and then it needed exhaust tips about 1.5 feet long just for it to stick out the end of the bumper. It was great. I also tossed in a stereo and new speakers, but that was pretty much it. I took it out, I found the local cruise loops and groups, And well, I lost my license with it twice. But I knew I needed something that could teach me more. Something manual, something with more aftermarket support, and, well, street cred. So allow me to dive further into my backstory. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm making this video just to talk about myself. I feel like my story does have some good value for people who are trying to get in cars without knowing anything. Because that's exactly how I was. It was super intimidating, and you kind of just have to dive in. And I'm just trying to give you guys some confidence and inspire you. And anybody who tells me they get into cars because of this video, man, that'd be enough. Just one person, that'd be enough for me. That would be the most amazing feeling. But more about that later. Let me dive further in here. When I first started getting into cars, long before I had my driver's license, I found TJ Hunt's YouTube channel. Way before he had 50,000 subscribers even, just back when he was still a nervous, camera-shy kid in his garage, kind of like what I'm doing. It was the first YouTube channel that I found where they were doing exactly what I'd always wanted to do. Just friends, hanging out in the garage, laughing, wrenching on stuff, just having a good time. Yeah, I was obsessed with watching his BRZ videos, and I was just a 12-year-old who was making his dream build list for a BRZ. Well, eventually I grew out of wanting a BRZ, but I think that is what got me into Subaru. Then one day I pulled up beside a red Subaru first gen 2.5 RS, or GC8 as they're often referred to, and I fell in love. Well, not right away. I thought it looked cool and interesting, but I had never seen one before, and I think that's what I like the most about it. I started doing some research, and I found this video.
The very definition of whipping. This is like driving a little mosquito that's on a whole bunch of great drugs.
I have a JDM engine, which he doesn't. He's stuck with the USDM.
And then I started falling for it hard. Later on, my buddy Miles, remember when I said my best friendships have come from cars? Well, he's one of them. And if you're a subscriber, you've probably seen him in some other videos. Anyways, one day he sent me a Facebook Marketplace listing for a white Subaru GC8. Well, at least half of it was still white. And yeah, that's when I met Casper. I've had Casper since 2018. This isn't just some car that I picked up last month to do a quick build video for views and then get rid of. This car has been with me. And it really did teach me everything that I was hoping to get out of a project car, and it still is. But it also did some things that I never expected. Casper got me through high school, my first serious relationship, my first real heartbreak, my first job, and some heavier stuff that I don't always talk about. It also taught me patience, and introduced me to a side of myself that I hadn't really met yet. The wild one. The risk taker. This car lit a fire in me. I started meeting people, making friends, going to events, pushing the car harder, learning what it could do, learning what I could do. I'd find myself bombing back roads like I was on a rally stage, chasing taillights in the middle of the night, sometimes getting into trouble, and sometimes, not every time, getting out of it. But with all that came freedom, adrenaline, and memories that I wouldn't trade for anything. Maybe I needed that. I think every good kid needs to act out every once in a while to figure out who they really are. So yeah, my first project car, Casper, taught me how to work on things, how to drive, how to build, and more than anything, it helped me figure out who I was becoming. My first project car is truly what got me into building. I had always liked taking things apart and trying to figure out how they work, but this was different. This car felt like the first thing that I truly owned. Something that felt like it was mine to screw up, to learn from, to fix, and grow with. It gave me the addiction of building on something that I already loved, the satisfaction of fixing, creating, or just reassembling something and watching it come alive for the first time. That feeling, that amazing feeling, that's cars, man. Working on cars showed me all of that. It even led me down the right career path. Now I'm in a place where I was able to bring my first project car back after being down for 4 years and to do it right this time. So that's my story. And if there's one thing that I want you guys to take away from this, is that anyone can get into this. There is no prerequisite. The first time I ever put a wheel back on a car, I thought that every bolt, nut, and lug nut had to be tightened as hard as physically possible. So when I was driving and I stripped every single stud on that wheel and it fell off, that's when I taught myself what torque spec was. That's how little I knew. Nothing. So yeah, that was the point of me talking about myself for that long. I just wanted to tell you guys that anybody can do this, and if it looks like I know a lot, it's because I've done a lot. I didn't know anything when I first started, but I would seriously love to hear your guys' stories in the comments below. And if you don't have a story and you're still here watching and listening, then it's probably a good sign that it's time for you to start one. Go buy that project car you've been eyeballing on Marketplace. Just go do it. Seriously, you'll only be better for it. Sure, it'll be a challenge. There's a lot to learn, but the skills you'll build, the confidence you'll gain, the experiences you'll have, it's all so worth it. When I bought Casper, I knew it was going to be a project. I bought it for that reason, but it was also my only car. I didn't have money for anything else, so I daily drove it. It never left me stranded, but man, it looked like a pile of junk, even worse than it does right now. Everything I did to it, I had to get done before I needed the car again, which meant a lot of late nights, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of learning on the fly. The first time I changed the battery was in my high school parking lot. I painted it on a school night. I came into school with paint all over my arms, and I wore the same clothes because I thought I was cool. I used to practice driving stick in the mornings just so I'd be ready for this one super steep hill on the way to work. I'm telling you all this because if you're just getting started or thinking about just getting started, I have a bunch of tips that I would like to share with you that I wish I knew from day one. Join the Facebook owners groups for whatever cars you're working on. Seriously, if you're doing something specific to your platform, chances are someone else has too. And you'll get responses fast. It's also one of the best ways to find parts. I'm in the owner groups for the GC8s and my Brat. That's how I figured out some of the best suspension setups for these, what aftermarket seats fit in the Brat, which 22B kit to get, what year STI drivetrains will swap into that and work just fine. They also helped me when I got completely stuck between Canada and here. Someone had parts for me, and that was the only way I made it home. So yeah, join the Facebook owners groups. They're great. There's a lot of really smart people in there that have done a lot of things. Another great tool that makes learning things a lot easier nowadays, you guessed it, ChatGPT. But I have been testing it with some super complex niche stuff lately, and it's kind of crazy how well it works with its responses. The other day I told it I have a 1999 Subaru GC8 with a 2005 SCI drivetrain and a 2015 STI steering rack. And then I asked it what I'd need for tie rods for that setup. And it told me exactly what I needed. I didn't actually know the answer before either. And it even gave me the part numbers. Kind of crazy. All while making it sound like you're talking to a person that's friendly. I don't know, it's kind of wild. So if you can't find what you need from a group or a forum from real people who have actually done it already, give ChatGPT a try. And of course, YouTube is always clutch for the install videos, you already know. At the end of the day, this channel isn't just about cars. It's about growth. It's about passion. It's about chasing something that lights a fire in you, even if it means getting a little dirty, messing up a few times, and learning along the way. I'm not a pro mechanic. I didn't grow up in a garage. I just fell in love with something, picked up some tools, and started to figure it out one bolt at a time. And if you've made it this far, you can too. Whether you've got a full tool chest or just a socket set and some driveway space, whether your project is a rust bucket or a clean slate, if it means something to you, that's enough. You're already one of us. This community we've built, this small community right here, is a place for all of that. For learning, for failing, for sharing wins and losses, for finding your people. If you're building something, tell us about it. If you're dreaming about it, tell us that too. I promise someone in the comments will relate if it's not me already. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're ready to start yours, you know what to do. See you in the next one.